past year. Impeachment and the use of the 25th Amendment, typically for a medical reason, have been a part of our nation's history a handful of times. But what makes this time around potentially so interesting and historic is that a president has never been impeached for a second time, and a vice president has never invoked the 25th Amendment. KGTC's Sarah Gannon sat down with our political analyst Chad Israelson to explain the historic significance of these two issues. Sarah.
Well, Caitlin, the 25th Amendment became an amendment in 1967 and was intended to be used if the president ever became incapacitated.
Typically, when the 25th Amendment is invoked, it's due to a medical emergency or surgery. The president willingly hands over power to the vice president for a predetermined period of time.
What people are talking about right now would be a case where Mike Pence is the vice president, and he's the one that would have to do it, could come forward and say the president is incapable of fulfilling his duties, and then one more than half, so a majority of the cabinet then would also have to go along with Pence.
So if that were to happen, Pence would become acting president and Trump would have the opportunity to state he is fully capable of doing his duties. Pence and the cabinet would then have 4 days to provide evidence supporting their case against the president.
So how likely is that to happen in the next 9 days? Not very likely at all.
Now, the other option is a second impeachment towards President Trump, but as we saw last time, an impeachment doesn't necessarily remove him from office. The House can draft and vote to impeach the president, a trial then happens in the Senate, and it takes a 2/3 vote to remove the president from office.
So if we look historically speaking, there have been 3 presidents impeached. Andrew Johnson in the 1860s, Bill Clinton in the 1990s, and Donald Trump last year. Okay? In those 3 cases, none of those presidents were removed.
But something else could happen during that vote, especially since we are less than 2 weeks away from the president-elect Joe Biden's inauguration.
In an impeachment trial in the Senate could vote to bar Trump from holding public office in the future, or federal office, to be very specific.
Less than 10 days from the end of his term, and still quite a few options to how it will end.
Now, Israelson said all 3 scenarios seem unlikely to happen between now and when President Trump is set to leave office. So we'll just have to wait and see. Reporting live in the studio, Sarah Gannon, KGTC News.
Sarah, thank you. Until further